You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 5th, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety to order this fifth day of September 2023. President or Mayor Dwayne Perry, Mr. Michael Vincent, myself, Virginia Keating, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is a request for a walk. Keisha Ward, representing Minority Health Partners of LaPorte County. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the minutes. Okay, I'm rushing on here. There is a reason for that. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes of the regular hybrid Zoom meeting of August 21st, 2023. Are there any corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Now we're where I started. Request for a walk. Keisha Ward, representing Minority Health Partners of LaPorte County, is requesting approval of a breast cancer awareness walk, Real Men Wear Pink, utilizing sidewalks. Now, this is the reason why I started with this, because I had it on my mind, because originally in your agenda, they had a walk that was going to begin on Michigan Boulevard, go down 4th Street, then down Wabash, then down to 7th Street, and they've changed their route. So here's the current route. They're going to start at 10 a.m. and to 1 p.m. on September 30th, 2023. They're going to leave the church at 2722 Wabash Street, Michigan City, Indiana. That's the Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. They're going to turn right on Wabash to Barker Avenue. They're going to go right on Barker to Franklin Street, right on Franklin Street to Cool Spring Avenue, right on Cool Spring Avenue to Wabash, right on Wabash and back to the church. And so that was what was on my mind. I ask your permission to discuss.
Well, Madam Chair, since it's not in the street, I don't think we have to consult Corporal Wright, so I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, then I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is a request for a streetlight. Aisha Branch, 1810 East Michigan Boulevard, is requesting a streetlight be placed in the alleyway between Michigan Boulevard and Helen Street for public safety. Is there anyone here? Please step to the mic.
Good morning.
Good morning. Would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Aisha Branch. I currently live at 1810 East Michigan Boulevard.
Thank you. And why don't you explain what you're asking, why you're asking for it?
Well, we all know that there's a lot of gun violence going on in our city. And this has been heavily on my heart, like the past 3 years, as far as more lighting in the alleyways. Where I stay at, in the back of my house, it is very dark all down that alley. And like 2 weeks ago, there was a shooting in that. There has been several shootings in that whole neighborhood. And you can see they just recently tore down a lot of weeds right across from Mountain Zion Church in the back of my alley, where you could actually see the church. But I also had a statement from my neighbor. She agrees as well that we need a street light placed in that alley. It is very dangerous and it's very dark. And I am here today to request a street light to be placed there to help prevent maybe, possibly more violence, be more lighting, because it's just wide open and more dangerous with it being so dark. So this is why I'm here today.
Sure, I understand. Brad?
Brad Minnick, House and Associates. I had correspondence with Police Chief Corley about this, and he concurred with the need for a streetlight in that alleyway. So my recommendation would be to go ahead and approve it. I can contact NIPSCO to have one put up.
Okay.
That's all right.
Have you identified the exact location?
Well, that's part of the challenge with NIPSCO. The last Board of Works meeting, we had approved 9 streetlights across 3 different alleys. And when I submitted to NIPSCO, only one of those poles were in their possession. They had sold the poles. So that's all part of the process. I'll submit possibly in this case a couple different locations in the hopes that NIPSCO still retains one of those poles.
Okay. And perhaps you could have a discussion with Ms. Branch afterwards to see where she was identifying the area.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Is there any public comment? Is there any board comment?
Just one, Madam Chair, if I may. It's, I see a scale on this aerial of it. I don't know how accurate the scale is, so I ask Ms. Branch and Mr. Minnick. That's a long alley. Is one street light enough between the boulevard and Thomas Street? Is one light enough?
A couple of them, one at closer to the boulevard, I think, and maybe one towards the end as well.
Okay, would you take a look at that, Mr. Minnick?
Of course.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support?
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a request for street closure. Canny Fear, Michigan City High School is requesting a street closure for Elston parking lot west on Ripley Street to Franklin Street to Ames Field for the annual Michigan City High School Homecoming Parade on Friday, September 29, 2023, beginning at 5:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Is there anyone here to discuss this?
Steve Walker, Chief of Police, Michigan City Police Department. No issues on our end from the police department. This is an annual event with a street closure every year, so no issues on our end.
Okay, all right. Amber, certificate of insurance.
Everything's in order.
Okay, all right. Any public comment?
Yeah, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I just want to say, go Wolves, beat the Pirates on homecoming night. Thank you.
Any board comment?
Make a motion to approve.
Support?
Now
Support.
Call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next item on the agenda is an easement agreement. Skylar York, Planning Director, is requesting approval of an easement agreement between the City of Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety and Whisper Dunes Homeowners Association Incorporated for 150 feet of the city's public right-of-way.
Good morning, board. Good morning, board. Skylar York, Planning Director. I've been working with Ms. LePage on this, and basically what we're doing is right now you have, and I don't know how this, I wasn't Planning Director when the PUD was put in place. PUD was put in place while I was gone. I came back and had to deal with it. But my question's always then, why do we have these pillars in public right of way when really those pillars should be owned by the homeowners association? And if you've been to Whisper Dunes, you'll see what pillars I'm talking about. They're pieces of wood. Thing is that the wood's going to rot over time, and then we're going to be responsible for the replacement. I think the homeowners want to take, they actually came to us and said, hey, we want to take these over so we can make sure that they're maintained, replaced. They just want to maintain them themselves. So I'm like, well, that's really not a problem. I think that we should probably look into that. So that's where we came from with the easement. That's the way we would do it, through an easement. So what's happening is we're retaining the actual right of way of the street, but then along the side where they have a lot of plantings in there, they have a lot of evergreen trees that are in there. I think there's some steps that come down. That would all be part of that easement that would then go to the homeowners association, and then they would be responsible for maintaining. And then the easement in general basically just gives them a right to repair, replace. But we also reserve the right to say it can't go any further, can't block the right of way, it can't block the view triangle, things of that nature. So
Okay,
that's basically in general what it is.
is there an insurance component to this requirement?
I do not know the answer to
There
that.
is. There is. We just haven't received a copy of the insurance policy yet, though.
Had we been doing this through the PUD, I would have said, hey, through the PUD, we want to make sure that these belong to the homeowners association as well. That's typically what we do. I just wasn't here when that was done.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Is there any public comment? Is there any board comment?
This move takes the responsibility for maintenance away from the city and puts it on the development. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there any infrastructure in there, piping, electrical work?
Nope, it's all in the right of way, and then all that's already been taken care of by sanitary district. We did actually take care of that through easements and through the proper channels, dedications, things of that nature. It's just that this is something outside the scope of what we maintain, you know. So.
Okay, thank you. I make a motion to approve pending COI.
Support.
I'll call for the vote, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for signage. Jessica Briscoe, 115 South Park Street, is requesting the placement of a 15-mile-per-hour speed sign and children playing sign located at Park Street. Is there anyone here to talk about this?
I can speak to that, to this item. Park Street is, I think it's 4 blocks long, and it's a stop sign at every block. And what it is, it seems to be a narrow street. I didn't measure it, neither did Mrs. Briscoe, but it seems it is too skinny for 2 cars to pass at the same time. So if 2 cars are going opposite directions down Park Street, one of them has to get off of into the easement, and children are playing there. I'm walking the dog backwards from south. There is a church. Oh, sorry. There's a daycare center, a church, and then on the last block, there's a lot of little kids that like to play out in the front yard. So even if they're in the front yard and 2 cars are passing, it encroaches on play areas. The reason why this has been brought to the board is there have been several cases of cars going way too fast. And when it was brought to me, I asked, well, what's the speed limit on that road? And it's not posted. So I think I would ask traffic, what is an unposted speed limit on a road? If it's 30, that's way too fast for this street, especially if you're racing from stop sign to stop sign. So just interested to see what traffic had to say about it.
Chief Walker.
It's Steve Walker, Chief of Police, Michigan City, Indiana. The posted speed limit would be 30 miles per hour in the residential area there, as it is every other. Again, it's been years since I've been down Park Street. So with the stop signs every block, I would hope that would obviously limit the speed limit, but again, as I said, it is a narrow street. So yeah, there are, I would say, issues with, two-way traffic.
Okay, thank you. Brad, do you see anything in this?
I had not visited the site yet. The other potential would be putting no parking signs, but that'd be problematic for the neighborhood, I would expect.
Parking's really not an issue because everybody has all street parking, driveways and such.
So I can look at that. excuse me, I can look at that with the police department as a potential solution. Eliminating parking on one side of the street to open it up.
The request is asking for signage, either speed limit or children playing sign or both.
So Mr. Vincent, the children at play isn't recognized as a official sign under our uniform manual. So historically, it's been the position of this board not to approve such requests for children at play signs.
But we could start with the speed limit sign.
Okay, did you want to take a look at it before we proceed?
Sure.
Okay.
And I'll have an update at the next board meeting, please.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll table this to the next board meeting. Next item on the agenda is Krista Rose representing Americo Engineering is requesting a street closure to remove all 27 groundwater monitoring wells associated with state cleanup site 201-342-122 at 2107 Franklin Street, with the closure of Franklin Street and Tillotson Avenue on 920 and the closure of Franklin Street and May Avenue from 921 through 9/22/2023, starting at 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Is there anybody here to address this? Brad, do you have an opinion on this? This seems quite straightforward to me.
As long as Ms. Rose follows the permit procedure.
Okay, all right. And is there any public comment? Is there any board comment?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next item on the agenda is a request to use city property. Kelsey Munner, Bulls LLC is requesting to shoot a film on Michigan City property from 9/20/2023 to 10/11/2023 to show off the beauty of Michigan City. Is there anyone here from Bulls LLC? Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for having me here. My name is Dan Meyer. I'm born and raised here in Michigan City, and I'm very excited to have the possibility to bring a movie here that I wrote and will be directing. And like the agenda says, it's to show off the beauty and uniqueness of our town and sort of showcase what we have here. That's sort of the backdrop of the film. I think that we've turned in our COI and it's been approved, I believe, and we've given our schedule. And if there are any questions?
Okay, what's the subject matter of your film?
It's about two best friends that have a struggling bar and they play on their pub dart team. And then they get a chance to play for the World Dart Championship. And they don't think they have any likelihood to win because they're playing the best team in the world. But through friends and family and community, they start to believe in themselves. And then when they go play for the World Championship, I don't want to ruin
Don't give us the other.
So is this a commercial endeavor?
It is.
Okay, all right. And are you just filming outside or like scenery?
What we're asking for?
Yeah.
We've got some permits to shoot in a couple of the parks here. And then we have one day where we'll be shooting some scenes just out on the street. Our movie takes place pretty much largely in the Uptown Arts District. And then there's a couple of the parks there at the Centennial Millennium Park, and then Washington Park, and then a little scene on the beach. And then just a couple of, outside scenes walking and talking on the sidewalk in Franklin Street.
Okay. Amber, why don't you go ahead?
And I asked Royce ahead of time. One of my concerns was obviously we can't give permission for third parties like businesses, persons to be filmed. Are you going to be securing all of those permissions ahead of time?
We do. And we've gone around, we've talked to a bunch of locations there. We're shooting at some of those locations itself, using them as locations for the film. But we're not those are the only places that we're showing in the movie. These will just be people walking, talking.
And I know the park has permitting requirements. You've gone through the park department. Have you received permission as well?
We have.
Okay. And so then specifically the only areas you're asking for permission is like in certain areas in downtown Franklin Street
Correct.
to film the street itself.
To film the people walking as they're walking and talking down the sidewalk, yeah.
Actors or,
Actors, correct.
okay.
Does this involve street closures or sidewalk closures?
Nope, none of that.
No obstructions on the sidewalk either?
Nope.
Is there
It's
an
just-
MOU necessary, Amber?
I'm assuming that you're asking this for free and that no royalties would come back. I'm not sure what you're at, if that's an issue as well.
No, we're just
Okay.
asking for use to be able to shoot for this one day, to be able to shoot there.
One day, which I know we're given a list. I was just kind of confusing.
Our schedule now, it's the evening of October 8th.
And that would be the 400 to 800 block on Franklin Street.
Yeah,
So that, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So that if we were to agree to this, then we would be talking about not from 9:20 through 10:11, but merely for the evening of 10:08 in a specific location. I think that was a 400 block.
yeah,
Of Franklin
yeah,
Street.
like a couple of blocks between 400 to 600 block on Franklin Street, on the east side of the street.
Does the board think they have enough? Go ahead.
We do have a certificate of insurance, so I don't have any other questions.
Okay, does the board think it's got enough information?
I'm satisfied. Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next item on the agenda is maintenance request. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting the following items be addressed. Risky Avenue Railroad Bridge needs a sidewalk cleaned, weeds cut around the bridge structure. Replace ADA signage on crosswalk poles throughout the city. Repaint black, decorative light and traffic poles throughout the city. And there's a question mark here about a railroad bridge. I think that was something that was brought up previously as on our pending items list. I don't see Don here today. Okay, well, let's just go move ahead. Public comment on this item? Is there any board comment?
I see no issue with the Risky Avenue Rail Bridge. It's the other two replace ADA signage on crosswalks poles throughout the city. I don't think they all need signage on the poles. I'd like to see that quantified. And the last one, repaint the black decorative light poles. I think we have to take a look at what the finish is currently. If it's a finish that'll just accept paint, or if it's like anodized, if it's like powder coated, it might need to be have that original coating reapplied. If I could recoat any poles in town, it would be the 6 or 7 that are down in Washington Park that are beautiful white poles, about 80 years old or older, and none of them have light bulbs or anything. They don't work. So I would put this on the pending list.
Brad, did you want to address this?
I also have a question. Is this a Board of Works item, or is this a work order item with the streets and department?
I don't have an answer for that, Michael.
There's just multiple requests here. I think some of them are directed to various departments.
Absolutely.
So the second one, ADA signage, I've requested a quote from Midwestern Electric to quantify the number of crosswalk poles in the city. And then we'll attach a budgetary number to that. And similarly, to repaint the black decorative light poles, they would need to be disassembled, taken back to a shop and repainted. So I've also requested a budgetary number for that as well.
Okay, I have a couple questions. Funding, has this been put in the budget? Not as far as you know.
Not without a cost to measure against.
Okay. And of course, as far as doing it this year, that would be out, I would guess.
Well, it just depends on the cost and the quantity.
Okay. And I need to know when we want to revisit this.
I would say 2 meetings, the first one in October, preferably.
Okay, all right. Then that being said, I'd like a motion.
Motion to place on the pending list for review at our first meeting in October.
Second.
I call for the vote, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next item on the agenda is the open door workshop request. Robin Tillman, Transit Director, is requesting to hold 2 open door workshops located at the Michigan City Public Library on 9/13/2023 at 1 p.m. and 9/28/2023 at 3 p.m. regarding minor route changes, reactivating transit route service, and introducing bus shelter project. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning. This is pretty straightforward. I'd like this, engage the public and meetings regarding the transit system, what's new and what's going on. We have to adjust the route slightly for safety reasons. They're too long at the current time. And our drivers are under pressure to meet the timeline. So we have to reduce the distance that they travel. Our Transit Triangle project has received 100% federal funding to reestablish routes that were lost during the pandemic. And like to introduce what we're gonna do with that project and how we're gonna move forward. Our third project is our bus shelter project, and construction is scheduled to begin this month on that project.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Any board comments?
Yeah, this is Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I just want to give high praise to Robin Tillman. I think she deserves a raise. She's doing a great job right there. But one thing I'd like to see, I'd really like for us to get a transit app. Every other city that has a transit system, there you can now go on, you use your app to buy your monthly pass where you don't have to go physically come to the controller's office and pay. And they also have GPS on them. They'll tell you right exactly when the bus is going to arrive at your stop, and you can actually track the bus. It'll show you exactly where it's at in the city when it's going to arrive at your stop. There ain't going to be no more guessing games. But I think that's something and I think that would really increase the ridership and then boost revenue. I know if we had that transit app, I'd get my monthly pass and ride the bus more, but I think that's something that's really needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy.
Robin, I just have one question. If the transit triangle is reactivated, what date would we be looking at to start it again?
I'd like to start it by January 1st.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go back to board comment.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
A call for the vote, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to point out what a great job Robin is doing truly. And the Transit Triangle, we were the last to stop that. It was a partnership, us, Purdue Northwest, City of LaPorte, and the county. And we were the last to stop that because I believe in it. So I'm glad it's here again. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. And next is the special event director's report. And this is for informational purposes only.
Good morning, Terry Greetham, Michigan City Special Events. We're coming off of what I would consider an extremely successful Oktoberfest weekend. For once this year, we were blessed with wonderful weather all 4 days. I know some people thought it was hot, but we didn't have rain and we didn't have a 30-mile-an-hour wind coming off Lake Michigan, so I'll call that a wonderful weather weekend. We had a great crowd turnout all 4 days. It's amazing. I can honestly say I feel like Oktoberfest is back. This year, we doubled the number of vendors we had for the event. Last year, we had 9 food vendors. This year, we had 18 food vendors. Last year, we had 20 art, craft, and merchandise vendors. This year, we had 42. And I spoke with pretty much all of our vendors yesterday throughout the day. And all of them said that they had a very successful weekend. They were very excited to be there and they're looking forward to coming back in 2024. We had absolutely no incidents over the weekend. Without going into detail of everybody that should be recognized for their efforts in this event, certainly my assistant event planner, Eric Williams, who I was blessed to get this year, did an amazing job. I do want to thank the clerk's office for all of their help with all of the contracts, the controller's office, certainly the legal department, Amber and Ryan. We processed over 100 contracts for this event, and thanks to the new process, I think it went much better and it was much easier. Of course, I want to thank Chief Steve Forker and the Michigan City Police Department. As I said, we had no incidents, and a lot of that is because of their presence down at the event. And then the one department I do really want to recognize and thank is our park maintenance team. Pat Volz, Chris Kaufman, and their entire team. Those guys, they just get beat down over the summer, taking care of not just Washington Park, but all of the parks. And when I throw an event like this at them, they smile, they do anything I need. They were there throughout the weekend, emptying trash. Anytime I had an issue, they were taking care of it. So I know people want to jump on them for not doing a great job, but I'll tell you what, we wouldn't do anything in this town, any events, anything without that team, and they are amazing. And I want to thank Pat and Chris and all of them. And the last thing I could say is Oktoberfest 2024, hopefully bigger and better.
Yeah.
I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions from the board? Excellent job.
Oktoberfest is back.
Excellent job. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a park board report. Is there anybody here from the park board? Go ahead.
Good morning, all. I'm Ed Shin, Superintendent of the Parks and Recreation Department. I certainly agree with Mr. Greetham that the Park Department has a very good, excellent maintenance crew. Here to report the 2023 events list from now until the end of the year. In detail, Sunday, September 10th, it'll be Grandparents' Day at the Zoo. Spending a special day making memories that will last a lifetime. The zoo will offer free admission for all grandparents with a paid child admission. On Saturday, September 16th, Wild Zoo Art for Families. It's an art gone wild at the zoo. An exciting opportunity to meet a special animal close up and paint its portrait. An art instructor will guide everyone to create their own masterpiece. As both kids and adults meet some amazing animals at the zoo, supplies will be provided. On Saturday, September 23rd, Hobie Cat races in Lake Michigan in Washington Park. Rain date will be Sunday, September 24th. Saturday, October 7th, Walk to End Alzheimer's in Washington Park. Saturday, October 21st, Boo at the Zoo, a safe trick-or-treat experience for kids and folks of all ages. Area businesses sponsor booths along with decorated zoo paths and hand out candy to the kids. Advanced tickets are recommended due to limited supply. Come in your costume, all ages are welcome. And lastly, Saturday, December 2nd, Michigan City Festival of Lights, celebration and parade, Franklin Street, 9th to 4th Street. Tree lighting and park light event. And that concludes the rest of our 2023 events list.
Thank you, Mr. Shen. That sounds excellent. Is there any comments from the board?
None here, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you for appearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Next item on the agenda is the opening of bids. The opening of bids for Brad Minnick, Haas and Associate, who had solicited bids for a citywide pavement striping project.
Ms. Keating, do you want to ask if anybody's here to submit a bid?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Anyone here wishing to submit a bid this morning? If not, then I need a motion to close the bids. Oh, is there? Oh, okay. I need a motion to close the bids then.
Motion to close the bids.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Yes, I say aye as well. Motion carries then. Okay, Amber, would you please start opening the bids?
The first bid is from CE Hughes Milling, Inc., doing business as the Air Markings Co. The total base bid for divisions 1, 2, 4, and 5, $238,787.42. The alternate bid for alternate 1 Woodland Ave, $35,680.22. Alternate bid for alternate number 2, which is County Road 400 North Kiefer, $28,953. Alternate bid for alternate 3 parking lots, $20,000. The second is from Traffic Control Specialist LLC, doing business as High Star Traffic.
We don't need that in the world. We do it like-
I know, that's what I feel like I'm gonna have to do. How they got this in. Total base bid, $204,122.03. Alternate bid for alternate 1 Woodland, $31,518.26. Alternate bid for alternate 2 County Road 400 North Kiefer Road, $27,661.50. Alternate bid for alternate 3 parking lots, $11,926. And the third one is from
That's the.
oh, it's a,
That's the E.
it's double. Okay. So then there was only 2. That's it.
Okay, then do I have a motion to assign the bids to the legal department and the engineering department for review and to return to their next meeting?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, then I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry,
Aye.
Mr. Vincent,
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. The next item is the awarding of bids for the Michigan City Police Department's 7 Dodge Chargers and 3 Dodge Durangos. The bids were received at our last meeting. Amber, is there any recommendations?
Chief, did Chief Corley have a chance to review this, and is he satisfied on?
Again, Steve Porker, Chief of Police. Yeah, we reviewed the bids and for the bid, I guess, and it was in the parameters that we were looking for.
Okay, so it's within budget.
Yes.
So the award would be for the 7 new vehicles, the 2023 Dodge Chargers for a 2-year lease, and then also for the 3 2023 Dodge Durangos for 2 years, correct?
Correct.
So the total amount awarded would be $115,992 for this 10 vehicles.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next item on the agenda is a request for street closure. Skylar York and Flaherty Collins request approval of a revised street closure plans for the 11th Street Station project. This project supersedes the previous closure request that was tabled at the board's works meeting on 8/21/2023. And there's a request that that previous request be withdrawn.
Good morning, board. Skylar York, Director of Planning and Executive Director of the Redevelopment Commission. We had, sorry I wasn't at that meeting. I apologize, I was sick that day. But what we needed to do was have a meeting with all our departments, which is what we've done. What day did we do it? Last Thursday, I do believe, or no, last Thursday? Thursday, yeah, I'm sorry, it's been a long weekend for me. Last Thursday, we had a meeting with all of our, an internal meeting with all of our departments. It was actually one of the better meetings I've been to as a department meeting, so I appreciate all of you being there. I think we've got a lot of the unknowns nailed down and ironed out. What I'm going to do now is just hand it off to Mr. Epping and just go through the process, or would that be appropriate, Ms.
Please do.
Madam President?
Please. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Steve Epping. I'm with Flaherty and Collins at Indianapolis. In following what Skylar just said, I think a good thing for us to do is put a synopsis together. And it was at the suggestion of the board. So that's what I've done. I put a synopsis together that kind of summarizes what we discussed on Thursday last week. And as the most important things I have listed are Flaherty and Collins' commitment, team commitment to safety, both on the job site and in the delivery process. Also, I wanted to solidify, or at least start here, is an anticipated schedule of operations that is going to be typically Monday through Friday, possible Saturdays, depending on weather, depending on schedule, with a 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. No overnight operations. Next thing is the mobilization to the site, to upon approval of the board. So we won't just show up. With the beam deliveries and other precast deliveries, it's set to be delivered in early to mid-October.
Excuse me, closer to the mic, please.
That was me.
That was easy. So for a duration of 3 to 4 months for the precast deliveries. I want to make a note here because I don't want to misrepresent what was said in the meeting. I believe Mayor Perry asked me directly if the amount of tons on that crane transportation would be 19 tons. And in fact, I misunderstood you, and it's going to be 40 tons. 19 tons are the average weights for the crane. Just want to let you know that. Also, I did get a hold of Ben-Hur and Course Lab, and what they intend to do in those cases where it's that heavy is add axles and wheels, as many as 3 axles. So that'd be 4 per. So that was how they were going to distribute the weight there. I wanted to let you know that because I don't want to misrepresent what we said to you. Next thing is we want to continue our communication with all of you. And we said, and we agree, and we'd like to attend the board meetings starting on the first Monday in October. And that is for informing you what we're going to be doing, but also giving you a chance to give us some input from how the process has been working for the city. So with that, I did also at the board's direction, we did put alternate routes together for all the places that we talked. The drawing you have there, or the map that you have there, has it penciled in for all the different routes. I think one of them's the Ohio route, Howard Street route. It's got three different options. We have to go seek some permits on at least one of them. And then we also had some changes, or at least some alternates for the Chrysler building. And all those are shown as marked on those maps. I didn't have time with one day to get those maps updated on the boards and then get the boards here, but those are true and reflect what we discussed. And I guess that's really it. We really appreciate the time that was afforded to us by the city members and all the different departments and the board and everybody else who participated in the meeting on Thursday. It was very fruitful for all of us. And we would very much like to continue on that trend. So I believe that's it. I'm standing here available to answer questions.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
Morning, board members, city councilman at large, Don Perbolinski, 215 Gardena Street. My question, I have a question, not a comment, but where do we stand and what route? Has there been a route established on where these concrete pieces are going to be coming through Michigan City? And if so, could we hear what routes they are here at this meeting?
Certainly, and I think there's significant changes as far as weights, as far as sizes of precast that make it even more feasible to do this. Would you like to just address the route issue, or Skylar, if you want to, whatever?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. He needs to get into the microphone a little bit more.
Okay, the primary route, which is largely dictated by NDOT, would be along 94 up 421, and then east on Barker Avenue. Excuse me, west on Barker Avenue.
Okay.
To the old hospital site. From there, they would be picked up and delivered approximately 12 beams or loads per day. Again, Monday through Friday, they would be traveling northbound on Wabash Street and then eastbound on 10th Street to the site. So that's the primary route. The secondary route that Steve mentioned is along 421 again, west on US 20, and then northbound on Ohio Street to the same staging site. And the third and least desirable site or route would be along 400 up Ohio Street to the staging site again. From the staging site, they would be taken by jockey trucks, right? Which have a shorter wheelbase and more maneuverable from the hospital site to the project site. And so that's the overview of the routing. On the east end, from the Chrysler building, we had reviewed getting the trucks out onto Michigan Boulevard, heading north, rather than travel along 10th Street, which is very crowded, heading north to 8th Street and then heading west from there, because there's just a wider thoroughfare on 8th Street to the project site. So that's an overview of the routing. Again, there are approximately 650 pieces or loads to be delivered to the site over a 3-month period.
Okay. Tyler?
I'm gonna have Mr. Epping address this, but some things that have changed significantly. You mentioned that's what I was gonna say. The sizes have significantly changed. We're not dealing with any articulation or anything of that nature. We're dealing with a semi truck load essentially. This is about 6 feet longer than a semi truck. We've confirmed with the police department that the route that we're looking at, the primary route, semi trucks turn down there all the time and make deliveries. So it's already being done on semi trucks. Well, so we confirm some weights. Our fire department's running approximately 73,000 pounds of truck on our roads right now, which is about 36 and a half tons. So we know significantly a lot more after having that meeting. And I think our departments were very helpful with helping us try to figure out some of the routes, and then also looking at an alternative route just in case a car breaks down, somebody has a wreck, if house burns down, something happens along that other primary route was the reason for choosing some alternatives. And Mr. Epping, if you want to fill in any blanks that I left out, you could talk maybe a little bit about the size of the load. I think that's really a significant change, actually.
Okay.
Okay. All right, yeah, the size of the loads have changed, or the size of the trucks have changed, as you mentioned. They're about 15 feet shorter of the pup trucks, which is the tractor part of the truck. And then the trailers are all 54 feet long, which is standard, 53 to 54 standard. And we'll have 6 feet protruding out past the back of the truck for those beams, or we call them T's, but so that stuff is improved somewhat. And then originally they were set up to come in and 24-foot wide panels or beams, and those have all been rectified and changed to 12. And the height is also limited to 11 feet. So that stuff we reviewed last week. But the alternate routes serve as kind of an emergency if we have to shift over, but also we want to make it clear that if we start a process with a certain amount of roads, that if there's got to be changes made, we're all in this together. All we have to do is communicate and work it out. But we think this is the least painful, at least starting out on the routing as it's concerned. Yeah, and then Skylar talked about the loads, and yeah, the heaviest load we have is the crane, that centerpiece, and that's it. And the rest of them can be put down to pretty good. I think the only thing will have to be multiple axles to be that crane, but they've guaranteed me that they will provide additional axles and tires on anything that looks heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to answer questions.
Okay, well, you said Skylar was going to talk about the roads. I want to just make a comment about that. We had discussions about the weight and the effect on the sewers and mains and things of that sort, and learned that the city streets are able to handle that load. In fact, quite able to handle that load. In addition, we had the police department there, and if Chief Forker would come up and maybe explain their position.
Yeah, again, we obviously had the opportunity to sit down with everyone present last Thursday. Again, the primary route of Franklin Street to Barker Ave, west on Barker Ave. Again, we see semi-traffic trailer turning left there, or west on Barker Ave every day. Again, these pieces essentially are 6 feet longer than a standard semi. They also are providing guide trucks or escort vehicles in front and in the rear of these, so we think that obviously that will help significantly with any traffic issues if a vehicle needs to be passed through an intersection prior to their arrival. They have the communication available to again to assist with that, again with those escort trucks. Again, obviously the alternative routes I think are a must, and I think they're a good alternative. Again, north on 421, west on 20, and north on Ohio Street. Again, those are, I think their spaces or the roads are there adequate. As you indicated, there's no weight issues. Our roads are ready to withstand 80,000 pounds. With streets and sanitation was present. Again, our highest or heaviest fire truck, I think, was just under 75,000 pounds. So I don't foresee any issues with the roadways or anything as well. So
Okay, thank you. Skylar, did you have something to add? Okay, Brad, do you have anything else? We did talk about parking. Did you want to talk about that?
So it's important to remember that the beams are about 6 weeks out. There's substantial prep for the site. So we got some time, but I've also looked at the parking along 10th Street so they can make that corner. And I'm confident that will not be an issue for them.
Okay. And as far as street signs being posted and things of that nature, will there be, I think you'd be prohibiting parking during operations?
Correct. We'll post those signs accordingly in advance of the beams arrival.
Okay, all right, and there'll be public notice, press releases, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. Will there be notice to the schools, to St. Stan's and Marquette?
Yes.
Okay, and one question I have is regarding, I don't know whether there's about bus routes along that way, but perhaps Michigan City area schools might be contacted, and perhaps they can alter their routes during this time.
They were present at our meeting. Sue was at our
They
meeting.
did.
Yep, she was there
Okay.
at the meeting we had.
Okay.
She was sitting in the back.
Okay,
I made
she
sure
didn't identify herself.
She did. She came in late, but I made sure she got an invitation to our
Perfect.
meeting.
Perfect. Perfect.
And then MC Transit was there.
Robin was there, yes.
And she's already working with me and Brad on a re-alternate because 10th is really an important street for her. So she's just shifting up to 9th Street, making that transition to Con.
All right, I think we've covered everything. Does anyone have anything else to say? Okay.
Just real quick, Steve, you'd be looking to mobilize to the site for the prep work. They won't bite you. They will.
Yes, as far as mobilization, we have just started having Mike come up and make some observations around. Mike Cox is our superintendent. He's also with Flaherty and Collins. But we won't start mobilizing until probably after the second week of this month. So probably 2 more weeks is what we're looking at.
So what is your start date?
I would just say without looking at, it's going to be the beginning of the 3rd week. So Monday, mid-September.
Mid-September.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. And I think we have 2 public comments.
As far as the Don Prispolinski, city councilman, as far as the neighbors being notified on Wabash Street,
Mhm.
The city gonna do that? Who's responsible?
City is going to do that.
Okay, are the letters gonna be hand delivered to the houses or?
That's
They will not be hand delivered to the houses. We'll either do it through, they will not be hand delivered to the house. So we'll either do it through through a water bill, or we'll do it through press releases that will be in the newspaper and both radio stations.
Okay. I'm just saying that my comments to that are that I think Skylar And maybe another person could walk Wabash Street to all the houses and probably have it all done and answer any questions to anybody in a day versus waiting to put notices in the water bills or in a newspaper or what have you. To me, it's always better to just knock on a door. If nobody's there, you leave the letter in the and you have the
Skylar's nodding his head, that hill.
Right, I think redundancy is a good thing. I think we should do more than one thing. Okay, Skylar, go ahead.
We'll make a point to do that. We've done that before downtown whenever we've when we put in new street furniture and lighting and things of that nature, it's really disruptive. We've done that before just to let businesses know it's really not an issue. And he's right. We can knock on a door. If not, we'll take a piece of tape and tape it to something. We won't put it in a mailbox. We can't do that. But we'll tape it to something. Also, we're going to be putting up the notifications too, saying, and we did make a commitment that we won't shut down parking or streets completely. We're going to only during work hours are we doing this. So typically those folks, if they're gone, they're out of their parking spaces, hopefully too. But anyways, it's really not a big deal to walk down the street. I think we should definitely do something more citywide because it is impactful to the whole city.
I have no problem with walking down the street, knocking on the doors. We just have to remember that it not only affects the residents that live on the routes, but all the Michigan cities that go through that area on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And then it's probably similar to walking Franklin Street. It's really not a lot. So.
And then just one more comment, and I don't know if the insurance part has to do with any of this now, since the weights aren't supposed to be over the city street limits of 40,000 pounds, I believe. But is there still an insurance policy attached to this? That water mains are busted or something happens that the developer is going to pay for this? And how long is that in effect for? 2 years, 3 years, 2 months, 1 week? Because
I don't have the insurance in front of me right now.
I know, because if a pipe gets a crack in it, how long does that crack take to then become a leak and have a major influx impact on that street? But if you could, Mr. Page, when you get a chance.
We definitely required a certificate of insurance. They provided it, naming us as additional insured. Obviously, if there is anything that is damaged, we need to know immediately so that we can turn it into the appropriate individuals.
Okay, but I'm just concerned.
The length of time.
On the road, a year down the road, a crack now may not be an issue when a year from now it may spring to be a major issue. And then the city will be stuck to pay for it when the city didn't have anything to do with it to begin with.
Understandable, as long as it's directly attributable to that.
Just a comment here, in our meeting, I think we were told that the street's weight bearing is 100,000. Is that correct? Do you remember that? 100,000, so we'd be well within
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The streets can handle it.
Thank you.
I would also just like to say that with water and sand, I think they were more concerned about vibration than they were pressure, if you will. It was more or less that shaking moment that shakes things loose, and that's what causes breaks or loosening of valves, things of that nature. So hopefully we won't be shaking it.
But once again, we've got some ice going down there anyways. Yeah, this is nothing new.
Paul Prespolinski, 1716 Washington Street, Councilman of the Second Ward. I have a lot of concerns. I first I'd like to say that I really don't think there was a lot of transparency between the board and the elected representatives of the area. I would also like to say that I believe that this construction mode should be kept on an improved highway interstate system. which is 94 around to Michigan Boulevard and bring these slabs down to Fifth Street and have Fifth Street closed. I talked about this alternative route with Brad Minnick in detail. I don't think it's fair to shut down traffic flow since on Wabash Street and the times that this is going on. Because what we need to think about is that how many, they call them, I don't know if I'm correct or not, interconnectors that go through the city. So you're bringing the slabs through here and you're going to basically be shutting down Wabash Street to traffic through certain times. Now, is it correct that you're also going to have Franklin Street closed down while this construction is going on around that station block? No, it's not going to be shut down at all. Well, you have limited access now to the north part of the city. Why aren't we keeping this on an improved highway and keeping it on 421 to 94 around the east side of Michigan City down Michigan Avenue to Fifth Street? Here we go again. And all these people, yeah, it's going to be a major inconvenience. You won't have to inconvenience anybody. And I know you had your meeting, but I believe that there very possibly could be major damage to some of these sewer lines and all this, because knowing the city of Michigan City, they haven't done any cameras, run any cameras on any lines. And I just think it's more conducive to traffic flow to keep it on Michigan Boulevard coming down and staging at Fifth Street and then running one side of Pine Street, since it's semi-closed right now, to 10th Street to unload the slabs. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Tommy Clavick, 1316 Ohio. So I know this question asked, but I want to know how much is the Franciscan Alliance getting for the use of their former St. Anthony site for this. I don't think that's a very healthy thing. I know they're in the construction business, they own Ton and Blank, but for using that site, it's not healthy for the community. I think what Mayor Perry suggested, I think what they need to do is take these down 94, get off at the 249 Portage exit, and then go north on 249, then they can go east on Highway 12 and either use the Ileana block, which is their staging area that the NICD set up, or bring them directly to the site and stage there. I know the building's going to go up no matter what, but I think that would be a much better site. Thank you,
Tommy. Is there any board comment, or does anybody up here want to make any more statements? Okay, then board comments.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your comments. Let's see, the next item on the agenda is the payroll docket for August 25th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll take any thank yous I can get. The next item on the agenda is a payroll docket for August 25th, 2023. City payroll, $713,691.81. Claims docket September 5th, 2023. Municipal claims of $1,909,859.57. Health and Life Insurance Fund, $569,961.60. CDBG, Community Development Block Grant, $0. Workers' Comp Trust, $0. Total claims, $2,479,821.17. And now we'll move on to the unfinished business pending items list.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll and claims docket as read.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, continuing to the unfinished business. Councilman Don Prespolinski was concerned about the cleanup on both sides on the Trail Creek Bridge on Michigan Boulevard. We were to revisit this today for a couple of reasons. One being that the mayor was going to contact NDOT. Has that been done, Mayor?
I did. I do not have a date yet, unfortunately.
Okay, and would that be possibly done by the next meeting or the meeting after that?
I would say the meeting after that.
Okay, so we'll keep this on the agenda till the meeting after that. Next item on the agenda is Kevin Kegmine updated the street foreclosure. We received update to the NICD double track project street closure. Is there any, just go ahead, come on.
Good morning, board. Kevin Kigabine, with Walsh Herzog at 1260 East Summit Street in Crown Point, Indiana. We have a couple of street closures that we discussed last meeting. We revised our dates. We are looking at doing the Nickfee crossing at School Street. It'd be 9/11 to 9/25. Just the crossing. We're looking at putting some center curbs, new striping and some signal work. We'll also be doing Carroll Street at the same time, 9/11 to 9/25. Again, it'll be center curb striping and signal work. This is all for the quiet zones for the NICD project. We have some small milling that we have to do at Gray Street and some striping. And we're looking at doing that 9/18 to 9/25. We have detours for each one of these that we did submit. And then as soon as we are done at School Street, we're going to close Vale Street and do some signals, striping and upgrades of some center curbs over there. And that'll be 9/25 to 10/13. And that'll about wrap up most of the NICD double track work. And then the only other closures we're looking at is doing some closures along 10th Street to remove the track section that's through 10th Street and pave back that center and repair all the curbs along the side that the south side of the road. So those closures will be from 10th and Huron to Willard, 9/6 to 9/15, and then Willard to Sheridan, 9/18 to 9/29, and then that'll wrap up all our work on 10th Street. And like I said, the majority of this work will wrap up the NICD double track project for us.
Okay. Is there any motion? Is the board ready to vote on this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. The next item was the matter that we just had before us, and the architect Floridian Collins, our construction company, and our planner asked that we withdraw that. So this is withdrawn. All right.
Bottom of the page that's set for September 18.
Yes, is withdrawn.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Rose Tahita, installation of 26 double-sided banners on Michigan Boulevard from 9th Street ending at Westcott Park. And this was a matter of the certificate of insurance being submitted from Main Street. Is that not the case, Amber?
It was that, but it was also coordinating it with the department so that they could look at the facilities to hang it to make sure it was acceptable to our poles.
Nancy Moldenhauer, 107 K Lane. I'm one of the co-chairs for the Celebrating Naomi Anderson project team. Rose Tahita apologizes for not being able to be here today. She's attending to family business out of town. So I brought with me today also two gentlemen from the United Steelworkers Union who are going to be helping us with the installation of the banners. They work with NIPSCO, so I'd like them to introduce themselves, please.
Vern Beck, Hebron, Indiana, Vice President of the Union.
Abraham Dudley, co-chair of Civil Human Rights Committee for the Union, and also born and raised here in Michigan City.
Thank you.
My address is in the port now for the last 18 years.
Okay.
And also, we did follow through and meet with the street department. So Mr. Smith very graciously gave us of his time, and he did have additional suggestions to make, which we did take into account. And those are actually reflected in the packet that was submitted before this meeting that I handed physical copies out of today. And we're very thankful that he met with us because he had some very helpful insights into what we were trying to do. So number one was for us to add a rubber protective layer so that the paint on the poles is not damaged. And then the other is to actually have some sort of slits put in the banner so that the wind resistance will be reduced. With those improvements, I think that he can be on board. Mr. Smith, would you like to say something about that?
Good morning, board. Good morning, board. Sean Smith, Street Director, City of Michigan City, Indiana. I have actually, in fact, met with Ms. Mollenhauer and Ms. Rose Tejeda, and upon my recommendations, I do not see an issue as long as they're in compliance with the certain specifications, the rubber sleeves, like I talked about. Basically, these poles on down the Michigan City corridor, actually in the city of Michigan City, they have a powder coat finish on aluminum poles. Our only concern was we didn't want to compromise the integrity of the poles. I also reached out to Marquise Electric, Mr. Andy Skiot, and he approved these recommendations as well. So I would like to have a person of contact also to meet with during the course of the season. We all know winter season, you have snow and ice. There could be questions of weight, but other than that, I have no issues with this request today.
Okay, all right. I do believe the proof of insurance from Main Street Association was submitted by Justin Post, correct?
Yeah, you haven't received it, Gail?
You
Not
haven't?
yet.
Not yet.
Okay, I'll be sure he gets that to you because he said he would. Okay, so I'm very sorry for that.
The contact for that?
Justin Post, he's the treasurer for the Michigan City Main Street Association.
But he's just the contact for the insurance, correct? Is he just, because I know Mr. Smith's asking for a contact throughout the duration of the project.
Right, he's the contact for the insurance, right?
Who would be the contact for the duration of the project?
Would you be willing to do that? Okay, Doug, Abraham Dudley of the Steelworkers Union will be the contact during the duration. Also, too, in looking at this, we had tried to get these up by Labor Day. But I'm thinking, and also Rose and I talked about this, and our project team members were thinking that maybe waiting till spring may be a better idea because March actually is Women's History Month. So it would make sense to put them up then and not have them hanging during the winter months, when our main reason for doing this is to put up a corridor to attract people to actually stop and look at the gorgeous celebrating Naomi Anderson sculpture.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Is there any board comment?
I would make a motion to table this until we get the insurance certificate.
I don't believe we need to table it. We could approve it conditioned upon receiving.
Yeah. So they don't.
Main Street's
keep
always,
coming back.
Main Street's always given it to us.
Withdraw that motion and
I also have a concern that the original request did not have an end date, and we discussed having a resubmittal of request on at least a yearly basis.
Okay, well, there's a couple changes here, so we need a motion that will incorporate them. What you just said also, the installation in March. So if I could have a motion and the contingency on the certificate of insurance from Main Street. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve pending submittal of an adequate insurance certificate and also a clear amendment to the document defining the period during which the banners will be up.
I'll second.
And I'll call for the vote.
Is that enough, Amber?
Well, you could just define that period right now is what I would do. I would just define that period right now. So
could we say like March 31st of 2024? Would that be adequate?
For beginning date, but end date, is there an end date?
Mhm.
I just stated the end date would be, okay, help me out then.
What she was saying was the beginning date of March of 24. Are you saying going to March of 25 for the end date? No.
No.
Okay, what are you saying the end date?
You want them removed before the weather gets bad. So maybe.
We want to put them up in the spring of 2024, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
take down, fall of 2024, say end of October.
We're not taking down anything, I don't think,
Well, then,
because
We need,
It would be asking for resubmittal of request to leave them up at that point. then.
okay, all of the banners that are in the Uptown Arts District, do they do this every year when they put banners up? Do they do resubmittal after they've been put up in the,
No, this
Uptown Arts
Typically, the
District?
banners,
done before the banners go up.
typically the banners are month to month. They do it for a specific cause or a specific reason. And then the request comes to us, for example, put it up during Breast Cancer Awareness Week or month. And then they're removed and the request states as such.
Okay, but some of them are up 365 days per year.
No, I don't recall allowing any banners to be up
No, I
indefinitely.
believe what Mr. Vincent's saying. So if we leave them up for the next year, that maybe if it goes through March of 2025, that you come back in February or January and say, hey,
Okay,
these are, they look well, they haven't weathered, they're still visible. Let's keep them up for one more year.
okay, so then if we have them installed by the March 31st of 2024, then we come back in a year in 2025?
If that's what you're asking for them to be up for a
I think
year.
that makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Okay, great. Thank you for walking me through this. I appreciate it.
Okay, so your request is for them to be up for a year then?
Yeah.
Motion still stands then as.
Yeah. Have a call for vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much. And I know that all of the members of the Celebrating Naomi Anderson project team are very appreciative of your patience and walking us through this whole process. And it's been very educational for everybody. So we'll do much better next time. Thank you.
Thank you for taking this project on. Next item on the agenda is the removal of the 15-minute parking signs and a no parking sign in front of a driveway. Brad, you were going to talk to us about this.
Yes, we should have an exhibit available to walk through as well. Okay, so you had told me at the last board meeting that there was some history here at this location. So the first picture is from September 2007. If we go to the next slide, September 2013, there were no parking signs installed. And the concrete apron that you see there was added next to Lang's Meat Market.
I got two of them.
They're on the board too, or on the TV.
Okay.
October 15, you can see there's quite a bit of parking and it's obstructing the concrete apron access to the property in question. And then this was earlier this summer in July. In coordination with Michigan City Police Department, my recommendation would be to simply paint the apron yellow to indicate no parking. There'd be no need for additional signage, and that would allow the owner access to his property. which is shown there. Rather than put more signs up. So that would be my recommendation. Is that something you could accommodate, Sean?
So some point between 2013 and 15, the signs were removed.
Yes.
Okay, Chief, did you have something you want to add?
No, I know, Mr. Minnick was working with Corporal Wright on this, and he, again, just recommended, like repainting the parking stalls in that area. And again, just leave that essentially no parking area in front of the access to the property.
All right. Then do I have a motion?
A question.
No, go ahead.
I don't know what Mr. Ibrahim wants. I remember that these two 15-minute parking signs were installed to support a local business, Lang's Meat Market, who was not able to, they had no parking for their customers because at the time, the McGinnis Pub was still in operation. It gobbled up all the parking.
There's still two signs there, Mayor.
Okay, so those two 15-minute signs are going to remain?
Yes.
Okay, I misunderstood. Apologize.
He just wants access to his concrete driveway apron.
Okay. Withdrawn. Motion to approve.
Second.
Call for the vote, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next is the extension of a sidewalk on the south curb of Johnstown Drive to the existing curb cut and ramped crossroad at Drummond Drive.
You missed one, I think.
Pardon?
Didn't you miss one? The vendor application?
Oh, Jesus Tapia. Boy, I'm really, my mind is elsewhere today. Jesus Tapia vendor application. I talked to my friend. We needed a certificate of insurance, and I think that we had discussed possibly approving through 12/31/23 rather than through the date that he had given us, because he needs to renew his handling permit, and we need to have that before us before we grant that extension. So that's my understanding of it.
Well, there was the certificate of insurance. They're here right now. I don't know if they've put a revised certificate of insurance into the clerk's office yet.
Yes, there was two different insurances from two different companies that would cover what he had.
Okay, do you have them? Did it go through Matt?
Matt
approved it?
Yes.
Okay, so it does have the auto liability now.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So the insurance is covered then. The one issue that we had was the truck would have to be removed. It couldn't be stationary there at all times. And that was one of the things I did speak with Skylar York about, because one of the requests was to keep it there permanently.
Yeah.
And that we can't do that because it would violate our ordinance. So if we do give permission, it would just have to be removed every day.
Everything, okay.
And I think the last.
I think there was a food vendor license or the
No, the health
department
permit, food handling permit expires December 31st.
So you were going to make it the permission just subject to that date where it expires, and then they'd have to come back and renew it. I'm fine with that if you want to do that.
Okay.
Just one more thing to note though, the application said, in general locations, just so you know, we're just approving this specific location. If you go to other locations, you'll need to come in and ask for approval of those other locations.
Okay. So what's the next, need to pay the permit or?
Well, unless there's any other public comment or concern, we just recommend approval subject to those conditions.
And I'll give it over to the.
Okay.
I'll get it over to the controller's office.
Okay.
Okay. Board, do you have any comments?
In here, Madam Chair.
I'll make a motion to approve based on the conversation and the license dates.
Support.
I'll call for the vote, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the extension of the sidewalk on the south curb of Jamestown Drive. Brad?
Okay, there should be exhibits for this as well.
Mhm.
So basically, it would be the addition of 216 lineal foot of sidewalk in that subdivision area to offer connectivity out to the street. The next picture shows where the sidewalk ends at 2 Jamestown. And as we go to the next picture, you can see it would continue past that decorative rock wall. It's going to be really tight. If we could get sidewalk in there without disturbing the landscaping that's done there. There are some allowances in terms of pinch points that would allow us to narrow the sidewalk up a little bit. The next picture, please. This is a picture going around the corner out to the street there. The next, again, there's being landscaping that you can see in the picture better there. They would have to be removed. I believe there's a couple more slides as well. So that's the crosswalk. My reluctance overall would be as you cross that crosswalk, it doesn't offer any connectivity. So we'd be adding 216 foot of sidewalk to complete the sidewalk in that subdivision, but it effectively doesn't tie into anything. Now they're in proximity to Notre Dame School there, but the sidewalk does not currently continue to the school. So that's an overview. These last few slides are just a look at right-of-way information on available via Beacon. So that's the overview of the project. Again, it led off with approximate cost of $10,000. That's based on the current CCMG project that was bid this spring with some escalation for next year's costs.
It's your recommendation.
I would recommend, since we're already in excess of the budget for 2024, that this remain on the list, but it would have to be coupled with additional walk, possibly to the school for connectivity. So we'll keep it on the list, but my recommendation would be to remove it from the pending items list.
Okay.
Keep it on the sidewalk list for future years.
Thank you. Board?
I will make the recommendation that a motion to follow the recommendation of Mr. Minnick. Looking at this, it was very confusing. There's quite an elevation issue. Elevation issue is to get that by that rock planter, and it doesn't seem to provide any connectivity to anything else. It goes down to the end and then dies. So that would be my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, then I'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Vincent?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next item on the agenda, Don Prespolinski, regarding the AT&T wire boxes throughout the city. Don, Councilman? This is just status. Status.
And I can tell the board that the status is still the same.
Okay. These are hard issues to solve.
Whether I'll ever have time to go around and look at every box in Michigan City, I think that's what the recommendation was. I don't think that'll happen. And I did talk to a representative from AT&T, a repairman that was out working on a box. He said that although some of the boxes look like they're on vacant land and there's nothing going on there, he goes, some of those boxes are still hooked up. So it would take probably a massive undertaking to try to inventory every one of these boxes. And Councilman Don Pryzbylewski does not have the time to go out and inventory 1,000 AT&T boxes, nor do I think I have, that's my responsibility to go out and do that kind of work. But I'm just saying that's where the project stands at this time.
Thank you.
Although you can see boxes up and down streets have been smashed over, and you can tell they're not in functioning by any means. Why AT&T won't come and remove them, I don't know. But that's where the project stands.
Thank you. Did you want us to keep this on our pending items list, Councilman?
Pardon?
Do you want us to keep this on the pending items list?
Oh, if you want to, you can take it off.
Okay.
That's fine, yeah, because there's no way I'll have time
Okay.
to follow up on 3,000 AT&T boxes in the city.
Thank you.
And try to get them removed. I was looking for a little help from the administration and the board, but apparently they're not worried about it, so.
The city doesn't have time either, Councilman.
Okay, do I have a motion to?
Motion to remove.
Virginia, if I may.
Okay,
I did take a small sampling of the boxes on Michigan Boulevard. 3 of them, and I contacted AT&T about them last month. And they were to send somebody out to look at the boxes, those 3 along Michigan Boulevard. And they were supposed to look at them on Friday, September 1st. I have not received an update from them regarding the status. But my recommendation to them was to refurbish the box and restore it because they were open and unsightly.
okay. All right. Well, that's good news. And I think that's a reason to keep it on the pending items list then.
Tommy Klovic, 1316 Ohio Street. It's really bad on the LaPorte County highway system with these. I tried working this with our good friend of the late Jeff Santana when he was on the county council. We called those 1-800 numbers. It's just impossible just to make a service call to get them out there to do anything. They basically just repair those in their own due diligence. So if you could get it done, that's great. But if you don't get that done, it's really nothing you can do about it. So that's just my experience with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, what's the board's pleasure? Leave this on pending a report from Brad on the Michigan Boulevard boxes. I think that's what we ought to do. Okay. All righty, moving on now to public comment. And as I always say at this time, any matter requiring board action will not be discussed under the public comment section of the Board of Works meetings. All matters that require board action must be placed on the agenda using the forms and procedures available at the clerk's office. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. All comments are to be addressed to the board president, not to individual board members. All comments must be germane to and within the mandate and authority of this board. Go ahead.
Hi, Tommy Flovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I'm also the City Common Council's appointee to the Michigan City Fire Commission. I just want to report on August 25th. We had our written testing examination for the applicants. So we had 49 applicants. Unfortunately, we had 12 no-shows. So we tested 37 of them, and unfortunately, of the 37, we sent the test out last Monday to be graded and scanned, and the 14 unfortunately failed. So we're down to less than half. We're down to 23 applicants. But I will say, of the 23 applicants, they're very good quality. And most of them are going to be lateral transfers. I saw a lot of them. There were about 3 of them that were lined up at 10 minutes before 8 before the doors opened again. So they seemed like they were really eager to come and join. Some were on the fire department before they moved away. They came back. But we really want the ones that got the EMT, because if they have their EMT, they'll save a lot of money for their training. And I just want to thank the Michigan City Area Schools for allowing us to use their parking lot at the administration building to set up the ladder trucks. They can do the ladder climb. They had to go up the ladder 75 feet at a 70-degree angle. And I want to thank all the members of the fire department that were there working overtime to harness the applicants in as they go up. And we're going to have our physical agility test for the 24th at the Fire Training Center Saturday, September 16th on Hitchcock Street. So let's say, yeah, I'll probably be observing or timing I won't be demonstrating the physicality. I've seen, you can look on the city website and see all that entails. So I just want to report up. I think we're going to have a really good group of applicants coming into the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you for that public service comment.
Right after Don.
Don Purvlinski, Michigan City Councilman at Large, 215 Gardena Street. And I just want to refer back to my maintenance requests that I had on the agenda that I wasn't able to comment on. The number one issue, and it's in, I know it's kind of spelled out here, it says Risky Avenue Railroad Bridge needs the sidewalks cleaned and the weeds cut down around the structure and the litter and all the other trash that's around this bridge. We all know that Risky Ave is a entranceway into that part of town, and I believe that it should be cleaned up. The vector control should have it on a regular schedule, that they go by there, just like they cut easements all over town. That vector control should be out there doing that at least once a month, cleaning that bridge. The second item there, it probably looks like it means replace all the ADA signage on crosswalk posts throughout Michigan City, but that's not the case. What I meant there is to survey all the ADA signage on the poles where the buttons are at, the silver crosswalk buttons, and just to make sure that they're readable. There's a lot of signs, and I believe a lot of them are on Michigan Boulevard where they're not readable. You can't even read what says on that signage. So that needs to be replaced, and to repaint the black decorative lighting and traffic poles throughout the city. I know that Sean Smith and myself, we had talked about doing Michigan Boulevard, and Sean got 98% of Michigan Boulevard done. Franklin Street needs to be done. The downtown area needs to be done. And probably, I think Ohio Street, they have decorative lighting poles on Ohio Street. So I think all those areas need to be surveyed.
We've addressed all of that.
Cleaned up.
In your absence, we addressed all that. Brad, did you want to just repeat for Councilman Prespolinski what we talked about?
Sure. So I had contacted Midwestern Electric for the ADA crosswalk and waiting on a quote from them, and then also contacted Marcus Electric about the decorative poles. Those would have to be disassembled, taken back to a shop and painted. So I should have quotes for both those efforts at the next meeting.
Okay. Could I just, Brad, if I may, could I just comment on the bid that you went out to Marquis for to get them repainted? Yeah, I mean, Sean, he did poles on Michigan Boulevard, and he went and bought paint at Sherman-Williams, a special kind of paint, and they went out and painted the poles, and they didn't have to dismantle anything, take anything back to the shop. They painted them right there on site. So you might want to talk to Sean and see what he did. And that we don't have to do it now, but you can talk to him to see what he did on those light poles.
Sure. So we'll compare notes when I get Marcus's.
Yeah. And you and Sean. Yeah, I just thought I'd pass that on to save some money instead of those guys taking all that stuff down, taking it back to the shop and working on it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mary.
Madam Chair, I would like to vacate my seat for a moment and make a comment as a member of the public, if that's
Please do.
acceptable. Wayne Perry, 2206 Maple Street, Michigan City, Indiana. Last week, I was informed that there was some chatter on social media about campaign activities. Most of us know this is a municipal election year, and the chatter was that I was putting up my signs too early. Well, I verified with the county and on the State of Indiana website that both LaPorte County and the State of Indiana defer to the municipalities, cities and towns to set their own guidelines. And I verified through our code compliance department that Michigan City has no such language in our municipal code. So I encourage all candidates who are seeking to be public servants to get their signs out there so that the public knows who you are, knows what your platform is, so that they can make a responsible vote November 7th. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other board comments? This is a board comment.
Board comment.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, we finished that, Tommy. I'm sorry.
I'd just like to make comment on maybe a couple requests. I don't know, with the Raven and Flock systems that we approved in town, it seems like they're effective and that they're doing what we had hoped that they were doing. I'd just like to request that maybe at future meetings, if traffic or PD can put together a short little data, maybe monthly, let us know what's happening with those.
That's an excellent suggestion.
Okay.
Chief, would you arrange that? Thank you.
And also another thing that I would like to know, because there's been a lot of talk about street lights that we need in alleyways, roadways to prevent a lot of this. We've been approving street lights to deter crime for quite some time now. And maybe there's some data to back up if that has helped, hurt, or not made a difference. I'd like to see something like that, if some data can be collected on that to see if we are being affected by putting up street lights or if it's not making any difference.
And I'll build on that suggestion. At our last meeting, I brought up the idea that we should have a streetlight program. And I was wondering if there were any plans to go ahead with that, make a decision, on whether or not they're going to take a look at the overall picture, how many streetlights we got, how many are needed. And also there's some issues regarding installation in alleyways. Okay. Prior to this administration, our previous engineer had told us that the city policy was not to put streetlights in alleyways. And, I can see the need for them. I'm not suggesting that that was the correct approach, but I think we need to, put this in writing so that we know what our policy is. So, Mayor, do you think you want to go ahead with that, or?
Yes, I'll champion that.
Okay.
Madam President, just so you know, I did ask Attorney Ryan Beal to start putting together a policy.
Wonderful.
For us. So
wonderful.
He's got a draft together. I've just been out of the office and I haven't looked at it. So that's already in the works. But that's just general for people coming in and making requests. It doesn't address what we have now and what like our general schematics would be. I think we would need probably the input of, other departments here.
Sure, absolutely.
The overall planning.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to have a program just like we have with the streets. Okay, well, that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
We'll call for the vote. Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Mr. Vincent.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Tommy?